Alright, so who would have thought just 2 months ago that I would be, for whatever reason, making a video on Kwame Brown, out of all people. That's just something right there. So, Kwame Brown, the last couple of days, has been growing on social media, and he's already accomplishing more in his social media career than his NBA career due to all the jabs he's been throwing at people that have been roasting him for 20 plus years. Since, if you don't know who Kwame Brown is, he was the number one overall pick in the 2001 NBA draft, played from 2001 until 2013. And normally people regard him as one of the biggest busts in NBA history because he was the number one overall pick. And when you're the number one overall pick, especially in the NBA, but this applies to other sports in general as well, you have to make a couple all-star appearances in order to not be considered a bust. Because there's been some real legendary players that have been drafted number one overall for the NBA. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson, LeBron James, to mention a few. And that's why Kwame Brown's been the punching bag of the NBA. Analysts such as Stephen A. Smith, a.k.a. some dude that acts on General Hospital as well, and other people as well. So, Kwame obviously has had enough of people just roasting him for 20 plus years. And it all started when Matt Barnes, a real fake tough guy, because there was another time. I don't know how you people watching this who watch sports feel about Jason Whitlock. There's mixed opinions on the guy. Some people say he's a racist or whatever. He's words that I'm not gonna say, but black people call him this because they feel he's taking down or putting down the black community or something like that. Regardless of what your opinion is on Jason Whitlock, there was a video I saw of him exposing Matt Barnes for being this fake tough guy. He was saying, "Oh man, I want to fight you, Jason Whitlock." He's saying, "You're a grown man. You're in your 40s. You're talking about trying to fight me. Get out of here with that," basically. So, this is not a new thing with Matt Barnes and all that. And him and Steven Jackson were on their podcast called All the Smoke. And my dad's here with me. He doesn't know. I really doubt he knows what the word smoke means in slang, what it means for my generation or millennials when they say the word smoke. It just means like confrontation. Means, are you about talking smack when you're on a TV when that person's not there? It's basically, can you talk smack? Will you have that same energy when that person you're talking smack's right in front of you? Will you have that same energy? Probably not, because that's how most people are. Like this old lady, but that's a different story. He knows what I'm talking about with that. And it's been so hilarious, Kwame Brown just roasting. He's taking no prisoners with the people he's been going at. And I'm going to be on Kwame's side fully for this because it's 20 years of this. A lot of people can't take a week of people just roasting you. And then he's had to take 20 years of this. He's had to take people insulting him since he was 18. You know how many 18-year-olders are in that position of Kwame Brown? Not many. And you're insulting this teenager? There's a reason why the drinking age is 21. I mean, America, they don't really know what's an adult. It's 17 for military, then 18 to be a legal adult, apparently, and then 21. Makes no sense. So whatever with that. The reason why I'm making this video today is because now people are like, "Oh no, Kwame's talking back." What do you expect? When you've been just roasting this guy for 20 years. And what, you expected him to be silent? Yeah, he was silent during his NBA career because he was smart enough to realize, yeah, this is not worth it. When I'm playing in the NBA, I'm collecting these checks from the NBA. So it doesn't matter what Stephen A., a.k.a. the General Hospital actor, says about me, or Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, whoever. Doesn't matter what they say about me because look at my paycheck, though. He got paid over $60 million. And people say he's a bust. He made this point. This was one of the best points he made. That's the thing. He kept it funny. It's real entertaining to watch this guy talk. He kept it true. He made some real good points while being humorous at the same time. And then he said this: how am I considered a bust if I came from this rough environment and I made $60 million? I consider that a win. How are you a bust if that's the case? And besides that, there's been worse guys than Kwame Brown. Yeah, Kwame Brown didn't live up to number one draft pick status, but he was an average NBA player. He had decent stats. He had better stats than a guy like Grant Williams on the Celtics, that's for sure. I would take him over Grant Williams for sure, or Semi Ojeleye, or whatever other bench players the Celtics have.
What about Darko? He was the second pick in the draft. The Pistons picked him over Anthony.
Dwayne Wade too, and Chris Bosh.
Yeah. So all of those, and Carmelo Anthony. How does the brain trust think that a tall guy is just because he's tall going to be better than those ones you just mentioned, especially Wade and Carmelo? But the same thing happened to him. He got about $60 million for however many years he played, and now he's back in his home country. A farmer. You ever hear of a $50 million farmer? They don't have to, they don't have to worry about if their garden comes up or not. But but back to Kwame. Yeah. Like you said, he played 12, 13 years, $60 million. So he's got the last laugh, I say.
Exactly. And now, since Kwame Brown is deciding to go Eminem on him like he did a couple years ago with Kamikaze, when everybody was saying how his previous album that he released 8 months prior, Revival, it's the worst album by Eminem. Man, Eminem's washed up. And then he just came out with that rocket and just insulted everybody that had something to say about him. So that's what I feel what Kwame Brown is doing is like the equivalent to that. It's been 20 years of people just saying how he's a scrub. One of the biggest rants, one of Stephen A. Smith's most popular rants, and that's probably why he has a role on General Hospital. I keep on mentioning that because my dad's here and he watches General Hospital. Not a good show, but whatever. That's besides the point. Yeah, he gave me a real dirty look saying that, but whatever with that.
9 out of 10, that show.
Oh, yeah. Ignore what he said on that. Whatever. Yeah, and so Stephen A. Smith, one of his biggest rants, his known rants, is when, I believe it was the trade deadline when the Lakers did the trade for Paul Gasol and Kwame Brown was in that deal. And then Stephen A. Smith was going off on him. You was saying, this guy's a bona fide scrub, saying all of this stuff about him. And it's so funny how when Kwame Brown talks back, it kind of got Stephen A. in his boot, shaking his boots a little. There was radio show that he was doing. He wasn't hosting, he was calling in from this ESPN radio show. And it seemed like his tone shifted a little bit. He was like, oh no, Kwame's talking about it? Talking back now? And the same goes for some of these other analysts. And I was looking at the comments section. There's this guy, Doug Gottlieb. The only reason I even know of this guy is because he's like a sideshow to Colin Cowherd, the guy that everybody really cares about when it comes to Fox News, Fox Sports. And then people in the comments section were saying, yeah, it seems like Doug's trying to get back in Kwame's good graces so he doesn't come after him for his YouTube or Instagram or wherever Kwame Brown is gonna roast you on. And I think it was this, yeah, it was Jason Whitlock. I mentioned him a couple minutes ago. But Jason Whitlock, oh, that's so funny. I'll be seeing these YouTubers, these right-wing sports analyst YouTubers. Oh, now they love Kwame Brown because he's bashing on what they call the woke sports, like ESPN putting politics into sports. Now they love Kwame Brown because he's insulting them. He's insulting the enemies. What's the saying? An enemy, what is that saying? It's basically like, if you hate the enemy, even though you're my enemy, you're my friend now because we both hate that enemy. Something like that. That's what I feel when people say comments about Jason Whitlock. Oh, what? It's like you're trying to erase history now about what you said about Kwame Brown? And then the thing that cracks me up is people saying, Kwame needs help or something like that. Matt Barnes. The reason why it all started, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson on their show, All the Smoke, they were talking with the Jeannie Buss, who's I don't remember exactly what her role is on the Lakers, but
she's the owner.
Yeah, okay, she's the owner. So she's the owner because her dad, Jerry Buss, passed away in 2013. So she's the owner of the Lakers. And they were interviewing her for this podcast show. And she was talking about the Paul Gasol deal. And there was a point where she was like, oh, and then Kwame Brown was also part of the deal. And then Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes was just like, tapped him on the leg and said, yeah, it was just for Marc Gasol, because the joke with them is that Kwame Brown's irrelevant and he's trash. And so that's how it all really started, and Kwame Brown is going on this troll fest on the internet. I consider it a troll fest because I think he's aware of what he's doing. And he's got nothing to lose now. He's not in the NBA, so he can talk all he wants to. And besides, he's been growing. His YouTube subscriber count just keeps on growing by the minute we go by. I believe yesterday when I was watching his videos, yeah, it was like just about to be 40,000. It was like 38,000 subscribers. And now I'm recording this. It's 3:55. It's Thursday, May 20th. Now Kwame Brown has 57.3 subscribers. So that's about 20,000 subscribers in not even 24 hours. Just under 24 hours. He had 20,000 more subscribers. And his channel is called, this is how you know Kwame Brown is just being a troll. He's just embracing his new career now. Because now there's gotta be people that are giving him offers saying, we want to partner up with you to have a podcast. Because this dude is hilarious with what he is saying. And his channel's called Kwame Brown Bust Life. Just like making fun of the people that call him a bust. But people were saying, like Matt Barnes, he responded to when Kwame Brown was roasting Matt Barnes, saying that him and Steven Jackson were like little girls. Oh, it's just Marcus Sol in the deal, not Kwame Brown. Yeah. So he was saying, Matt Barnes, there was a point he recorded a video. He was saying, yeah, this is like your cry for attention, man. And your cry for help. I mean, you did it well, man. So, what about you want to be on my podcast and we could have like a boxing match or whatever? And then Kwame Brown just hilariously responded. He was saying, no, I'm not gonna be doing a podcast with you when you're talking to me that way in that condescending tone. And if it were to happen, that would. And he was also saying, Kwame was also saying that, I'm not trying to help you get your numbers up with that. Because if Kwame Brown were to go on the All the Smoke podcast, and let's just say in the next week, it's not happening, but if he were, then Kwame would probably have one of the highest viewed episodes with All the Smoke because of all the newfound fame he's getting. It's crazy. Like these young kids now. I knew him because he was an NBA player. Now these young kids know him for being are gonna know him for being a media personality. And so back to what I was saying about diagnosing Kwame Brown. Ooh, I feel people make this like generalization or make this statement because they seen what happened with Kanye. But Kanye, that's way different. He's not in on the joke. Whenever he's going on like his Twitter rants, it's like people are laughing at him, not with him. With Kwame Brown, it's people are laughing with him and at the people he's making fun at. What about trying to do your job as opposed to saying, oh, well, Kwame Brown needs help. What? Oh, what? I'm so mind blown. We talk smack about a guy and now he responds back? How about that? Oh my goodness. It's like this. I'll give you an analogy. A bully. Bully keeps on bullying you. Teachers aren't doing anything about it, really. There's gonna come a point where if you're the one getting bullied, you're gonna be like, screw this. I've had enough. I'm fighting back. So, what you got to say about all this?
Well, people forget when he's in the league that long, he's contributing something to the bench. Maybe 5, 6, 7 points a game, 4 or 5 rebounds a game. So he was, how should I say, a steady bench warmer or giving you a little bit of depth. And also for him to come back after this time and, say what he says, I think it's admirable. But, because he didn't fade away. And now he's taking advantage of that reputation and the word spreads on, how he's porking other people, putting him down, criticizing him. Now, I will say, didn't Kwame get drafted by Michael Jordan?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm going to say this. Yeah, Kwame was set up for failure. They set up this guy for failure because, look at that. He was 18. And I feel 18 is not, you can see it in the age. It has teen in it, meaning he's still a teenager. And adults don't fully develop until they're 25. So he was really still a kid when he was in the NBA. And then you have a guy who doesn't really have a great reputation of for his upper management skills. eh, People that call him the GOAT, they're not calling Michael Jordan the GOAT because of how great of a general manager he is. So, Kwame Brown, he said this on one of his many videos he's been recording for the last couple of days. He was saying that Jordan didn't even want him. That Jordan was in an era where young guys had to prove themselves as opposed to how it is now. I feel it depends on the team. Like if you're the worst team in the league, you get the number one overall pick. You got to play that guy from day one. But Michael Jordan didn't have that philosophy. That's the first thing. So there's the fact that Kwame Brown was a teenager when he got drafted to a grown man's league. And then you got a guy that didn't really even want him in the first place because Kwame Brown said that Michael Jordan wanted to trade that first overall pick for Elton Brand, a guy that was, at the time, an established star. So you got that. And then, I don't know who the coach was during that time, but my safe assumption is the coach really wasn't going to be a good one to help an 18-year-old adjust to the NBA, which is way different than high school. And that's a situation such as that is why the NBA did have, you had to go to college for at least a year. This kind of situation is why they did have that. But now it's going back to how it is in high school. And I feel that's appropriate since people like Kwame don't come from these great backgrounds. And of course, Kwame was going to take that opportunity. If he could be a multi-millionaire at 18, who's not going to decline that opportunity?
Exactly. And here's the thing. At that age, teenager still, you get thrown millions of dollars at you. Yeah, it's very overwhelming what you want to do with it. You got all these hanger-ons, friends, old friends, relatives, all trying to get a chunk of that money. So it's very tough for a teenager to succeed in the NBA. Now, however, if you're driven and you have the character, you can become a very big success. Kevin Garnett just got into the Hall of Fame, came out of high school. But he had the drive, the talent, and the character to make over $350 million in his career. And then what about Kobe?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking that too. Fathers and sons think alike, I guess.
Yeah, well, now Kobe, from day one, he was different. People saw him like Jerry West and saw this guy has the drive to make it to a Hall of Fame. He had that drive. He had that in his mind that someday he will be in the Hall of Fame and one of the best players ever. Guess what? Because he had the drive, he had the dreams in his mind, he worked hard, lots of times in the gym after the game was done, and Garnett always wanted to be on the beach in the morning before anybody else would be. So that's the kind of drive when you're a teenager that helps you become successful. Now in Kwame's case, I don't know if did he have a father or just mother.
Yeah,
That could affect
yeah.
it. See, two parents can stabilize. I mean, Garnett only had his mother, but I'm just saying that he didn't really have a foundation at all, so that's why it became not as successful. I mean, he could have been, but he needed someone to keep on him or keep inspiring him to play the best ball he can play.
That's the thing. I feel like in Kevin Garnett's situation, not Paul Pierce, but Kobe, and also, you didn't mention him, but LeBron. They believed in them. That's not really the situation we had with Washington, Michael Jordan, and Kwame Brown. As I mentioned just shortly ago, Kwame said that Jordan wanted him traded for Elton Brand. So, you have a bad start already when the guy, the general manager of your team, doesn't even want you. What foundation is that? And the reason why it didn't happen, Kwame, according to him, was due to Michael Jordan and the owner of the team, Abe Pollin, having a disagreement with that. Obviously, the owner wasn't really crazy about this idea with trading for Elton Brand, and that's history for you. Kwame Brown became the first pick for the Washington Wizards, and yeah, you know the rest with that. And the final thing I want to talk about with Kwame Brown and his rising social media presence. My dad really loves the name of this guy, Charlemagne the God.
Oh my goodness.
So it's such a terrible name, and you're gonna know why I say that. And this is gonna be new information to my dad about what I'm gonna say about Charlemagne. This is stuff I've known before, but Kwame Brown talked about it. And this is the thing. If you're talking about Kwame during these next couple of days, this is really like Eminem. You talk about him, then bam, he might be making a video on him, just like Eminem a couple years ago when he did Kamikaze. If you talked about Eminem, say this song sucked, bam, he might make a song about you, saying about how you suck and go at you personally. The Breakfast Club Charlemagne show, it also includes DJ Envy, Angela Yee, but let's be honest, they're not as relevant as Charlemagne the God. And Kwame Brown, he called him out on his BS. He Bill Cosby the woman. Seriously.
Who, Charlemagne?
Yeah, he Bill Cosby the woman. Got away with it. And
well, if you're the God, you're supposed to be able to do that without any rupees or help.
yeah. He was calling out Charlemagne. He was saying, you know you messed up, right? And he just went off on Charlemagne. And he was talking about this with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson as well. These people that criticize him want to talk like they're all perfect when they're really not. And now that I talk about this, I'm thinking about this for a second. I'm just going to bring this for a second. Kobe Bryant, when he died, this is really the best time you thought, Gayle King. And then she was interviewing Lisa Leslie. She had to ask her about the Kobe Bryant allegations from 17 years ago when she was interviewing Lisa Leslie. And she wants to make it seem like, oh, I'm being the good person. Yeah, right, Gayle King. You're coming off as a scumbag. And then you're gonna use that excuse. They cut it out of context. Shut up.
Right. She was bringing up something, as they say, that's history, pal. 17 years. That's like 50 years ago now.
Yeah, yeah. Ignore his over exaggeration on that, but yeah, whatever. He likes to do. He likes to do over exaggerations like that.
19 years ago, Gail King might have still been in high school for all we know.
No, she's at a washed up age. Looks wise, she's at a washed up age. So like in her 60s or 70s even. And besides that, the evidence. If you look up that case with Kobe, the woman was probably lying. Most likely, I'm not saying definitely because the people that do know for sure is him and that woman. But there was reports, and supposedly there was friends of this lady that was saying she was trying to do the same thing with Eminem earlier before it happened with Kobe. So yeah, that's what I gotta say on that. And I bring it up because the media, Kwame Brown, when he's going on these rants, he brings up a real great point about the media, how they want to act like the good guys. They want to act like they're on the pedestal, the moral pedestal and all that. But you got dirt on you too. Gayle King and Oprah. You want to make, or not Gayle King, but Oprah. She was involved in that whole thing with Michael Jackson, Neverland. But this is the thing. The guys that were in that documentary, I think one of them did. When Michael Jackson was having his allegations of with the children and him being a pedophile, one of them said on oath that he never did such. And now years later they're talking about how he did touch them. I don't know. This is not to say that there are guys that do that. There are people that do. But I think in those situations like Kobe and Michael Jackson, they were innocent. Deshaun Watson, that's another thing. The amount of women for like Deshaun Watson's situation, I don't know, but this is a saying that people need to apply more today. Instead of just immediately incriminating somebody, innocent to proven guilty. Or if you don't want to say that, let me hear the facts of the case before I make a judgment on if they're innocent or guilty. And that's, I went deeper into that than what Kwame was saying, but that's just what it makes me think of when Kwame talks about how the media people want to act all perfect when Oprah Winfrey did that and talking about, I'm in Michael Jackson's documentary exposing him when you're buddy with Harvey Weinstein. So what's up with that? So you people got dirt on you as well. And he was also exposing how fake, how political the media game really is. And he was talking about with Charlemagne and Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. He was saying, yeah, of course they're all cool with each other. Because in this Breakfast Club segment that then Kwame then responded to, Charlemagne said that Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, he was friends with them. And exactly with Charlemagne, this is exactly the point, proving Kwame's point exactly right with trying to act all perfect. When you couldn't get a woman to say yes to you, you had to be like Bill Cosby? Put something in their drink? Are you serious? This guy's on Dr. Phil. I wish I just said that to my mom at that point. I would say, because I remember my mom was watching Dr. Phil one time, and this bozo was on. I mean, Dr. Phil and Charlemagne are both bozos. Because Dr. Phil is not a real therapist. He is Jerry Springer. He is just a glorified Jerry Springer. It is not about helping these people get better. It is just about laughing at these people. It's not about helping these people that have weak mental health. Not at all. When, let's say, on an episode of Dr. Phil, it's about some parent bringing in their child because they have delusions of being the next Eminem. Instead of Dr. Phil being like, oh, well, let me try to be polite with you with that, he'll just be saying, you suck. You're garbage. Well, why are you trying to be a rapper for? It's just for entertainment, because negative vibes, that is what the media likes. And that is why Matt Barnes wants Kwame Brown on his show now. Because according to Kwame, he was saying that he wanted to go on their show prior. I don't know what the timeline was. I think it might have been a couple days before Matt Barnes tried to do the whole politically correct thing, the PR move, trying to make himself look like he's not the scaredy cat by trying to act like the big boy in the situation. By saying, oh, now you could come to the show. And that's why Kwame declined, because he wanted to go. He offered to be on the show, but Kwame wasn't as relevant just a few days ago. I think that's the timeline of that when what Kwame's referencing to that. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then Matt Barnes sees, oh, Kwame Brown, the numbers are rising on YouTube and Instagram. Oh yeah, that would definitely, now he could be on the show. What else would you want to say about all this?
Well, I wanted to say real quickly, first of all, there was another high schooler out of Texas, and that was Mr. from Perkins. Perkins came into the league, and he had a tough attitude too, the way he played towards other people, and he definitely was part of why they won World Championship with the Celtics. And if he was there in Game 7 in 2010, they would have won too. So he's another one that had the drive, but one of his most important facts was, he was very tough, a real tough guy. Matt Barnes is funny. When he was playing, he'd always get into these fights, but it's like, oh yeah, you want to take me, he's got like two teammates behind him, oh, you want to take me on, come on. It's not like he was by himself. He had like a person on each side as his wingman. So I'm gonna have to watch and see this Barnes character, because I never was a fan of him when he was playing. I sure would like to see what he's doing on TV. Maybe so, maybe not. And I gotta give props to Kwame.
Former Piston.
He's gonna make he's gonna probably make more now than he already made. That's the being a genius is about.
Yeah, it really is. What Kwame Brown doing is like taken out of the LeVar Ball school of stuff. Except he isn't. The only difference is as opposed to, I mean, he kind of did bash some of his opponents, but it was to also build up how Lonzo was like one of the next greatest players. Really hasn't lived up to that, but that's what happens when your daddy just talks about how you're like the next NBA legend. But this is what it's interesting. He mentioned Drake in couple of his rants because he was making fun of how Matt Barnes he pulled a Pusha T card. My dad doesn't know what I mean by that, but I'm gonna explain to him. But I think you listening here, watching this, probably know what I mean. With Pusha T, he was dissing Drake a couple of years ago. He was using the biracial diss, talking about how he's both black and white, and he has trouble trying to fit in, and that's the card he took with that. He was saying, it seems like you got, I'm paraphrasing, but it seems like you have issues fitting in because you weren't black enough to hang with the black people, but you weren't white enough to hang out with the white people. So you're just trying so hard to try to fit in. And that's what he was saying. He was also, he kept calling him Becky with the good hair. And there was another time he said his hair looks like Bruno Mars. Matt Barnes.
Oh my.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring it back to Charlemagne with him. And this is what they said during their segment of the Breakfast Club. They were talking about Kwame, as I am too, but I'm doing it more in a positive sense of Kwame. They're talking about him, and then he was taught, Charlemagne, first thing, he was trying to act like, oh man, I knew people that were close to Kwame's. He was saying about, he was accusing several members of his family of being murderers. And I'm not sure exactly which claims that Charlemagne said that Kwame refuted in his response to that, but he was saying that all of that wasn't true, or not all of it, but there's parts of what he was saying is not true, and that's what happens when you try to act like you know what you're talking about with that. And then him mentioning Kwame's family history, he was saying, "Oh, just leave Kwame alone." And Kwame brought up a really, really good point. He said this. He brought up Jeffrey Dahmer. So all the Dahmers are bad then? Jeffrey? What? Since Jeffrey was a serial killer, that means all of us are? Real great point. He just obliterated. I commented that down in that video he made, and he actually saw my comment, so I consider that an autograph.
Who did?
Kwame. He asked. Yeah, you're not really you're not hip to what like the YouTube stuff, but when like YouTuber, let's say I make a comment like I did. I said Kwame obliterated Charlemagne, which he did. And then when you can like a comment, but you probably won't see or know who liked it. But if you heart a comment, you can see it on one of my videos actually. I heart every comment that people make. You can see it's like an icon. It has like a heart and the logo of your channel on it. So that's what Kwame did for my comment.
I know how to make a comment. I just choose not to.
I'm saying you don't know what hard in a comment is.
True.
You can see on the comment sections of one of my video, and you'll know what a heart in a comment means. You'll see It has a heart logo on it, and a heart and the YouTube logo of your channel on it. So, Kwame Brown, I'm gonna say this. I think that's the equivalent to getting an autograph because it's not like I'm gonna ever. Most likely, it's not like I'm ever gonna meet Kwame Brown. That's worth more. I think that's worth more than a Scalabrini autograph. I think you'd agree with that. You don't like him, so yeah.
It's not that I don't like him,
You don't though.
but he's trying. All right. Well, here's the first thing I can't understand about Scalabrini is you leave Golden State the year before they won their first championship.
Wait a minute. I gotta correct you on that. He got fired, I think.
See, that proves it even more if he got fired. And then he ends up trying his hardest to replace Tommy Heinsohn. That's the same as me trying to, except I'm a foot smaller, a little bit more than a foot. Me trying to, beat Tommy Heinsohn. It just doesn't work. He tries too hard. He makes these cornpone comments. And then to top it off, he's got a hair commercial. And it says things like, I wanted red hair, and I know a lot of people that know me wanted that red hair. They like that red hair too. I'm going, yeah. And I thought we were done with that ad at the end of last year, before the bubble. But here it comes back again in 2021, and you see, I call him a corn pob, whatever you want to call him. He's sitting there in the chair.
Popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn. He's sitting there on a chair and looks like he's a professor he's moving his hand and such. And looks like he's giving the other 5 people a Brian Scalabrini pep talk. Give me a break.
Yeah, so that's what my dad's got to say about Brian Scalabrini. I think the real reason why you don't like him is because we tried to get an autograph with them many years ago when the Celtics were defending champions. Yeah, that's how long ago it was. And it was Big Baby, Leon Poe, and yeah, Scalabrini.
And they cut us off. We waited for at least 3 hours, and then they cut it off. They didn't, say like, shut the doors to the store and let the people that have been waiting so long. Nope, we're out. Really, that's really great.
Oh man, you're sounding like Stan. You're sounding like the Eminem song Stan. We waited for you 4 hours in the blistering cold. You just said no. You sound like Stan.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, don't worry. We're not like Stan. It's not. We're never gonna get to that point where we're never gonna get to that point like in the end of that song where I'm drinking. I'm on the 5th of vodka. You dare me to drive? It's not gonna be a situation such as that. You know what? I don't remember. I think I said that it was gonna be nonsense of the week. Never mind on that. If I indeed post this, because with YouTube and a lot of things, when you're creating stuff, not everything you do sees the light of day. But if this does indeed see the light of day, I'm changing this from nonsense of the week to just a podcast episode, because this is going on almost 15 minutes now. I want to finish it off by going off on Charlemagne. How are you a god when you do that? Shouldn't it be Charlemagne the devil then? Or Bill Cosby Jr.? Like, what are you doing? How does this guy have Kwame is right. How does this guy have still have a platform. Why is this guy getting defended? And he was making jokes, but I think he's onto something when Kwame says this. But he must be doing some favors for the higher ups of him. Charlemagne must be doing some favors, whatever that is. We don't know, but I think Kwame's onto something with him doing some favors for his higher ups. Because I don't understand how Charlemagne still has a platform. It's not like it's just accusations where it's just he said, she said. He literally admitted it on a podcast he was recording. Charlemagne the scumbag. That's what we'll call him. Final thoughts, final words. What are some final words you want to say about Kwame Brown, the former Piston? You know, your second favorite team when they're actually winning.
Well, with Kwame, I got to give him props because he made him a lot of money already, $60 million, and now he's found another way to express his opinions and make money down the road on this. So I got to give him props. And then otherwise, I think that the game is such that people love it. I love it. And it's getting stronger around the world. So part of that reason is for the people we just mentioned. Kobe, LeBron, Garnett, Kwame.
Kwame? What? Hold up. Oh, we need a time. We need a timeout for that. We're not here trying to make fun of the guy because that would completely defeat the purpose of why I'm even doing this. And besides, I don't want to be the next guy that he talks about.
Just joking.
Yeah, I don't think this is in the most respectful way possible, because a lot of NBA players aren't gonna have kids around the world are wearing my jersey status. It's just not gonna happen, since when you're an NBA player, that's an accomplishment in itself. And then when you're someone like Kobe, a guy that's a superstar, admired by millions throughout the world, you're just on a whole nother level of one percenters.
Oh, it's too bad, a lot more people, kids around the world, would love to have jerseys, but they're too expensive here. Imagine about in other countries, like Philippines, for example. But maybe someday more people will become so they can afford a jersey of their favorite player. That would be a great thing. Great thing. Including me, I want a jersey.
Yeah, of who? Kwame Brown with the Pistons? You have what? This wouldn't be the first time that you had a jersey with a guy that didn't last long for the Pistons. You had an Iverson jersey.
Yeah, I had two. I sold one and kept one. Because Iverson was one of the best players of his time. And, he got into too many gang stuff. But
gang stuff? Hold up. The reason, let's get into this. The reason why Allen Iverson didn't last longer in the league was his ego. He didn't want to be a bench player. He talks about practice. He has a rant. Practice. He's also saying this probably to himself as well. Bench? You want me to play on the bench? Not the game as a starter?
Yeah, and he didn't even give that, one of the most things nowadays is sixth man. You're sixth man. Oh, well, back in the Celtics in the 50s and 60s, they had a sixth man that was very valuable. So, but like Dylan said, his attitude, But the best thing about that an Asian did for Iverson is he arranged for about 30 million of that shoe money that he couldn't get a hold of it to the 50s. So hopefully, till he was in his 50s. So hopefully that'll keep him set up and his kids and his grandkids for generations to come. Because that's what it was for.
Yeah. I want to try to think of something to say about Kwame Brown as the last words. Kwame, you're probably not. I mean, you hearted my comment that I made on your comment section, but there on the off chance that you may find this video, unlikely, but now I want to play an older version of 2K when you were in the league just to play you. That's all I gotta say now. This is the whatever kid. The phone's ringing and it's on to the next one.